Three Cardinal players that I am keeping an extra eye on here in the final month of the season. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio, as well as the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving you all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. As we sit here on this first full weekend of September, the Cardinals are a game under 500 at 70-71. They've gone 6-4 in their last 10. They're 9-11 in their last 20. 15-15 in their last 30. All-Star break, not so great, 19-25, but they're kind of like just the epitome of a 500 team, right? They don't go too high up. They don't go too far down. They're just in the middle. Although the All-Star break record at 19-25, it's better than only Washington, Colorado, and Minnesota, who traded most of their team away. So that's not where you want to be. But, the Cardinals have handed the keys to the car over to a lot of youngsters recently. A lot of injuries going on with the team. Arenado, Donovan, Burleson, Victor Scott was hurt for a while. So you could see why, maybe they've struggled a little bit more than usual. But again, 6-4 in their last 10. So, and I've enjoyed watching some of the younger guys get some action. So, Red Hot Giants are coming into town this weekend and making their way to Busch Stadium. It's Hall of Fame weekend for the organization, which is normally a very festive time at the ballpark. Lots of legends are here. Yachty's going to be back in the dugout, which is great. We're coming off a series win over the A's. You got the day off on Thursday, so a chance to rest up a little bit. So vibes around the stadium should be fairly positive as we get things started on Friday night. Are the Cardinals where they want to be? No. Are the Cardinals where the fans want them to be? Hell no. 3 straight disappointing seasons in a row. And you shouldn't feel bad as a fan for being upset about this. For the fans that, feel like they're being blamed or getting a guilt trip for the seats being empty at Busch Stadium, I don't feel that way at all, man. It's entirely up to you if you want to go watch the ball games or not. But this is certainly not a franchise or a city that accepts losing usually. We understand how hard it is to win a championship. And when the effort is put forth by the players, we'll show you appreciations. When it's put forth by management and ownership and they fall for it, we don't destroy them for it. We may suggest ways to improve it. But right now, this is not a championship caliber team. The management and ownership have not put together a championship roster. They've screwed a lot of things up. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to rebuild this mess. Okay. And a lot of it's going to depend on, how some of these prospects develop. Guys like JJ Weatherholt leading the charge. Liam Doyle going to pitch this weekend for Palm Beach. Great news. One of your top catching prospects. Reinaldo Rodriguez was promoted to Peoria, went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs in his debut. People are very excited about him. Your other top catching prospect, Leonardo Bernal, is enjoying success at Double-A. Quinn Matthews is knocking on the door to the big leagues after going 2-1 with a 2.27 ERA, 41 strikeouts in 31 2/3 innings, and 6 starts at Memphis in August. So there is talent coming. It's on the way. But we can't just rely on them. There's still talent at the major league roster that also needs to prove themselves, right? Before the season ends. We need to see more success, more progress from a few people that are already on the major league roster. So I got 3 guys that I'm going to be watching closer than other guys on the team. Doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to everybody else. Doesn't mean other players don't have something to prove or things that they should be doing. These are just 3 of them that I've kind of singled out that I want to pay a little more attention to. That's just for me. Number one is an easy answer. It's the guy that we've been talking a lot about here recently. And until things turn around, he's going to continue to be the top headline as far as like Cardinals who need to be better. And that's Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker is the guy. Just got called out by his hitting coach and his manager about showing urgency and being better about preparing every day. We covered a lot of that on Wednesday, and there were a lot of comments about that situation, which I'm going to throw a couple of them up at you here in just a moment. But MLB.com did a write-up on a player for each team that has the most to prove down the stretch here. So John Denton, who covers the Cardinals for MLB.com, he picked Jordan Walker, just like I am. The Cardinals have made it abundantly clear that they want to see a strong finish to the season from Walker, who has struggled at the big league level for a third straight year. Walker is 23, showed some promise after the All-Star break, hitting .304 with 6 doubles, 4 RBIs, and an .808 OPS in July. However, Walker's struggles returned in August when he struck out 25 times compared to walking just 4 times. He went into Wednesday with 10 strikeouts in his previous 6 games. Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol said on Tuesday that Walker needs to be more receptive to making changes and must show more of a sense of urgency. Now, I gave you my thoughts on all of this in Wednesday's episode. All right. So if you haven't listened to that episode or you haven't watched that episode on YouTube yet, go check it out. Or you're going to be kind of lost of what we're discussing here because, there's a lot of sides to this story about who did who wrong and what's going on and why Walker hasn't progressed the way we wanted him to or the way he should be. There's, some people are upset that Ali and hitting coach Brant Brown called him out in public about this. And we're like, hey, have we not learned our lesson from Tyler O'Neill situation or whatever? I don't know if that's what they're trying to do. Ali has even talked about that Tyler O'Neill situation before, saying he wished he had handled that differently. I feel like this is more of just a kick in the pants. Like, look, bro, we want you to be good. We need you to be good. And yet, these are some of the issues we have. And, this is like a little nudge, man. Okay. So don't take it so personally. We haven't heard that Jordan is by any means. But I wanted to read some of your responses to what's been said about Jordan Walker with those comments from Brown and from Ali. Got one here. I honestly don't fault Walker one bit. I think the Cardinals messed with him too much. Minors, majors, minors, majors, minors, majors, minors, majors. Talking about how he kept getting sent up and brought back down. And if they wanted a more refined hitter, then they should have just kept him in the minors and not yo-yoed his playing time. Hard to argue with that. Walker was batting .273 before getting sent down in 23 to get more lift on the ball. The Cardinals are the full blame where Walker is now, period. What's happening with Jordan reminds me of what happened with Colby Rasmus. Rasmus would take hitting advice from his dad and not listening to coaches, which ended up with a feud between Colby's dad and Tony La Russa. And then they go into how that actually ended up helping the Cardinals win a world championship because they traded Rasmus to the Blue Jays and got those 3 pitchers and Corey Patterson in exchange. And those became big parts of moving forward to win that series that year. Nick Kurtz at age 22 goes through some stats, says maybe we need to see how they raise up a young hitter. At 23, Walker is regressing. Gorman at 25 shows flashes, but is still stuck. Walker is trying to cover every type of pitch on both sides of the plate. I feel bad for him as he walks up to the plate without confidence. He looks so sad. Somebody help him. Look at Kurtz's body language. Look at Soto's approach. Instill confidence at all levels, please. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of some of the responses that we got on this particular situation. And, you can still go to that show and write in the comment section how you feel about things. And I'm going to touch upon some of these because I'm not disagreeing with some of the things that people are saying. I'm really not. But there is a guy that I want to point out that reminds me of what and where Jordan Walker is at right now. Another guy in the league who struggled a lot at a very young age, but is now starting to blossom into the player that many thought he could be. And I'm going to kind of compare what Jordan Walker's done compared to what this guy did early on and where he is now. So we'll get into all of that coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. This episode is being brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Now, whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine-infused toothpicks. That's right, toothpicks. Check it out. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy your cravings and that hand-to-mouth habit without vaping, which we're learning is not that great for you, or smoking, which we know is not that good for you. Zippix can be helpful. It's a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. Available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligrams and 3 milligrams nicotine options. And if you need energy, which is something I think we all need, without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. Now, I'm not a nicotine user, but I love me some caffeine. I love it. And I've been using the caffeine toothpicks before workouts, long drives, like driving back and forth to different events and stuff. Heck, even going out golfing. You know, I used to chew sunflower seeds, and then I tried these energy toothpicks instead, and they work. They give me energy without the jitters, and they've got cool flavors. Cool flavors like cinnamon. There's bourbon flavored. I got a lot of friends in Kentucky who, you know, they're the bourbon connoisseurs. Sent them some. They love them. And my favorite, personal favorite right now, because I like fresh breath, peppermint watermelon ice, which actually tastes great. So here's what they come in. Little packages. You get a little tube here from Zippix to put them in so they're not, you know, floating around in your pocket or anything like that. You can try them. Go to zippixtoothpicks.com. Use code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. Now, you got to be 21 or older to order. And a warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. LOCKEDON. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X or TikTok anytime you want. Feedback is always welcome and encouraged. So the player that reminds me of the situation that Jordan Walker is in right now is Angels outfielder Jo Adell. And it's because they got similar backgrounds, all right? You know, both of them came out of high school, highly touted prospects, tons of talent, big, strong kids. Now, Jo Adell is not as big as Jordan Walker. Jordan's 6'6", which is crazy. But Jo Adell's 6'2", 220. Like, he's big dude. Former first-round pick, number 10 overall. Here's a picture of him. Look at him. Like, yeah, dude, the dude doesn't not lift weights. Number 10 overall pick in 2017. Very good numbers in the minors. Nothing like incredible where he was popping 40 bombs or something nuts, but very good numbers in the minors. Big time prospect. People had a lot of high hopes for him. Very athletic. A lot of the same stuff that Jordan Walker brings to the table. And he'd do well in the minors, and then he'd come up to the majors, and he struggled. He struggled for years when he got to the big leagues. Came up at age 21 in 2020, and in 4 seasons, amassed a .214 batting average. This is over 4 seasons, by the way. .214 batting average, 18 home runs, .259 OBP, 625 OPS, OPS plus 71 in 619 plate appearances. So that gives you a 162-game average of 16 home runs, 60 RBIs, 199 strikeouts. He was swinging and missing and everything. And a negative 1.3 WAR. Jordan Walker in 3 seasons so far at the major league level. Has more plate appearances. The Cardinals have played him more at 974 plate appearances. But his 162-game average, .242 batting average, which is better than Adell's .214, 16 home runs, 65 RBIs, 161 strikeouts, an OBP of 302, 686 OPS, OPS plus of 89, and a minus 1.5 WAR. So pretty similar numbers here. Pretty similar. And I was talking with John Frisch from Locked On Angels. He's one of the hosts there at Locked On Angels, does MLB Game Night with me. I was talking to him about it and was like, you know, a guy that Jordan kind of reminds me of is Jo Adell. When did it turn around for Joe? Like, what was it? And he was like, yeah, dude, he suffered through some very similar things that Jordan Walker is dealing with now, where pitchers were throwing breaking stuff away, and the guy could not lay off it. Just couldn't figure it out. And it was a problem. And it's why he kept getting sent up and down, up and down. It's just, I'm telling you, it's so close to what the Walker situation is. And I said, well, what happened? And he was like, well, he eventually figured out how to lay off that pitch. And as soon as he did, like a light bulb went off and things were great. He laid off that pitch. And when he hit home runs, he was pulling him to left field. Okay. You know, Jordan Walker's a big dude. He's got power in that bat. Is he going to be a 35, 40 home run guy? Maybe not. But there is power there. There's certainly 20, 25 home run power there. And that's genuinely what he needs to do. And I was talking about this the other day. I was like, yeah, if he lays off that pitch, and when they do try to bust him, man, he's so quick with his hands and with his swing, he's going to be able to yank balls out of the ballpark. He's just got to learn to lay off that pitch. Easier said than done, right? And Joe Adell has figured that out. 2024, he hits just 207, but he pops 20 home runs and drives in 62 RBIs. This year, hitting 241, but 33 home runs, 90 RBIs in his age 26 season. And I know we hate the word patience because John Mozeliak has ruined that word for everybody. And we want these guys to all be great right away. We just, right now, give it to me. Be awesome. No excuses, right? But sometimes it just doesn't work that way. More times than not, it doesn't work that way. Not every prospect that gets brought up immediately becomes a stud. And the Angels could have easily given up on Joe Adell. And I was saying, not this past spring training, but the spring training before, I was like, Cardinals should call the Angels and kick the tires on this guy. See if he's available. See what it would take. Because the talent is there. You see it. And I feel the same way about Jordan Walker. I see the talent. I see all this upside. And I agree with many of the fans that think the biggest disservice that has happened with Jordan Walker was that season when they rushed him up in 2023. When they put him on the opening day roster for no apparent reason. Didn't have to happen. Everydayers know that when that was announced, I was like, hey, cool, but why? Why are we doing this? Do we need to do this? I was not a fan. Thought it was stupid. Thought it was desperate. Thought it was, an attention thing, a media ploy, if you will, to get more coverage, to get more action. Thought it was rushed. Thought it was unnecessary, and it backfired because they get him up there, and he does okay, but then they send him down. They're like, well, hold on. You're hitting too many ground balls. We gotta work on this. And they sit him down. And he hasn't been the same since. Like, he came back up that year and was better, but he just hasn't been the same guy. Now, has the team learned from that mistake? Perhaps, because it appears that they are more comfortable with slow playing things with some of their other prospects, like Mason Wynn. They didn't pull him up right away. They gave him that last month. And then, last year he became the starter. Now you've got J.J. Weatherholt and Quinn Matthews, who both appear to be ready. It'd be easy to just pull them up right now. And they're like, well, hold on. But personally, I'm not punting on a 23-year-old with the talent that Jordan Walker has. Contract friendly, obviously, with money being the way it is with the Cardinals. They're not looking to spend any. He's going to be contract friendly for quite a while now. And a kid that I believe that you're the reason that you screwed this up by pushing him to the majors and told him that he had to learn to play an entirely new position on top of trying to hit major league pitching at the age of 21. Like, I blame the Cardinals. I mean, if you're Jordan Walker, don't you I'm kind of questioning your decision-making as well, because look what you did to me. I hope they can figure it out together. And I feel like maybe it doesn't happen, this season. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Obviously, that's the whole point of this segment. But, that something needs to be discussed and figured out this offseason between the Cardinals and Jordan Walker to figure out, all right, this is what we want to do. Let's get on the same page. Let's do that, okay? Because we need this kid to be good. And he can be good. I think so. I trust that he should be a very good player at some point. I think he's got a good enough head on his shoulders to figure it all out. I just feel like he's been jerked around enough over the last couple seasons that maybe he doesn't trust the Cardinals as much in what they're doing. So, and I don't really blame him for it, honestly. But Jordan Walker, obviously, key number one. The other two guys, I'm not going to go quite as in depth about these two as I just did with Jordan Walker, but Thomas Saggese and Matt Svanson. Saggese is in a very tough spot right now because he's in an organization and on a team that, when healthy, you've got Arenado and Brendan Donovan, Mason Wynn at shortstop, and Nolan Gorman ahead of him as far as the infield pecking order. And you got J.J. Weatherholt coming up. Right, he's going to be here. If he doesn't come up this year, it's probably going to happen next year. So there's not a lot of room for him on the infield. So I'm curious what his place on the roster is going to be moving forward. Even if Arenado was somehow moved this offseason, it's still, like, even if you eliminate him from the group here, it's still Gorman, Wynn, Donovan, and Weatherholt. Still 4. And if Donovan moves to left permanently, then that opens up a spot. Maybe Saggese moves to the outfield. I remember they were talking about, working him out there, but you've still got Newt, Victor Scott, and Jordan Walker out there. Maybe he's just a utility bench guy and nothing more. I don't know yet. That's why I'm going to keep an eye on him here in this final month, a little bit closer eye, to see, maybe what his future path is going to be. Being a bench bat of his caliber, having that, that's not a bad thing. But he's someone that I'm really hoping will jump off the page more in games and really push for playing time next year. And then there's Matt Svanson. The Cardinals bullpen has some guys that have been solid, since all the trades were made at the deadline. JoJo, Riley O'Brien's been good when healthy, which unfortunately keeps popping up, the injuries. But he's been very good. If you go look at the numbers, like they're pretty outstanding. Kyle Leahy has had his ups and downs throughout the season, but a lot of relievers do. Like, that's nothing new. Find me a reliever who doesn't ever give up something, and we'll put him in the Hall of Fame today. But there's a chance, we've talked about Kyle Leahy maybe getting converted into a starter. You've seen that discussion that he's got starter stuff. So Svanson could be the guy that takes over his role next season, which is, 7th, 8th inning, high pressure situations. And he could be a bigger part of this bullpen next year too. So I'll be watching him and how he handles the tougher situations. And I hope Ollie deploys him. Got the wrong picture up. Sorry. I hope Ollie deploys him in a bunch of those types of situations the rest of the way, because this is the time to get in those reps and get them in against big league hitters who still have something to play for. Not every team's pushing for the playoffs, but a lot of guys are fighting for roster spots for next year, just like the Cardinals, have that inner competition going on. But some of these teams are still playing for things, like the team that's in town this weekend. Spring training is fine, but this weekend the Giants are here and have once again started to make a push for a playoff spot. And that's the kind of team that I want to see him facing in high leverage situations. That's what I'm looking for. So with the Giants in town, we're going to discuss what this weekend looks like, pitching probables. How are the Giants back in playoff discussion? How did this happen out of nowhere? We'll get into it next on Locked On Cardinals. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime-flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking your birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. That I can promise you. Whether you're out on the course or you just need a little extra push to power through the day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion, it gives you the best part of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or having to chase down the bev cart. That happens all the time, by the way. You're out there on the course, you're like, where is the... No, now you don't have to worry about it, right? Now you can amp up the fun even more. You just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com. That's 5, written out, FIVEHE, win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament ends October 31st, 2025. It's another big moment on Locked On College Football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, as well as former college star Jesse Holley and our Locked On local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. So the San Francisco Giants are in town this weekend. They made that extremely bold move this year when out of nowhere they struck a deal with the Boston Red Sox and pulled Rafael Devers out of Boston, brought him to the Bay. Many thought that that move was going to catapult them into becoming serious playoff contenders, and it did not work out that way at all. For the longest time, the Giants just kind of slugged along there. Devers wasn't doing much. The offense was kind of meh. They did not get the boost they thought they were going to get when Devers came on board. You know, their big free agent signing, Willie Adames, he got out of the gate slow, not living up to the big money that they gave him. So things were kind of bleak. Things were kind of bleak in the Bay, but things have changed in a major way. So the Dodgers and the Padres, remember they were butting heads recently, and they continue to battle for that top spot in the NL West. And the Giants, they just kind of slowly but surely crept up and have been making a little bit of noise recently. They're 12-8 in their last 20, but 9-1 in their last 10. And in that time span, the Padres have been struggling at 2-8 in their last 10 and lost one of their relievers, Jason Adam. And the Cubs and Mets have not pulled away like many thought they would. The Giants are now just 4 games out of a wild card spot as we begin things on Friday. So they got a lot to play for this weekend. Okay, they're motivated. And the Cardinals are the ones standing in their way of completing their task of trying to get to the postseason. Now, Cardinals going to have Michael McGreevy on the mound tonight against righty Carson Seymour for the Giants. He's going to be the starter for just the second time this season. Started against Baltimore on August 30th, got beat up. 4 runs on 5 hits, 2 home runs in just 3 innings. This is one of those bullpen type of games for them. So advantage Cardinals there. I'm going to trust the Michael McGreevy starts every single time because they just play better behind him. They do well behind Michael McGreevy. He doesn't get beat up so far that they are out of games early. He struggles in the first couple of innings. Then he tends to figure it out, and then he's fine. So hopefully they stay away from the big inning on Friday night. And, if they do go down, maybe 1 or 2 runs, nothing major. Keep the ball in the ballpark, obviously. But advantage Cardinals on that one. Saturday, you've got future Hall of Famer Justin Verlander, who's just 3-10 this season. I know, weird, but has had a much better time recently. August, 2-2, 3.62 ERA. He'll go up against Andre Palante. Yeah, still in the rotation. 6-13, but hasn't had hardly any success in quite a while. 1-6 in his last 7. The ERA close to 7 at 6.88. I mean, who would you bet on in that game? Then on Sunday, it's Sonny Gray trying to bounce back after getting stomped by the A's on Monday. The Giants haven't officially announced their starter, at least not that I saw, but Logan Webb pitched on Tuesday, so I'm not sure why it wouldn't be him. I'm not completely sure why. Very interesting. The Cardinals actually just made a move, by the way, have activated Joel Pozo, which we knew was coming from the 7-day concussion list. Cesar Prieto has been optioned back to AAA Memphis. Willson Contreras had his 6-game suspension reduced to 4. They'll begin serving that suspension today. Have not seen Quinn Matthews is pitching in the minors tonight. All right. Henderson's pitching tonight as well at Springfield. So those are some 2 games, but have not seen the lineup yet or who's going to be playing at first base with Willson Contreras out and Alec Burleson out. I would assume it's going to be Gorman. That would be my guess, that they'll have Gorman go over there and have Saggese play third, but that's just my guess. I'm not totally sure yet. We'll see. But like I said, now I'm trying to retweet this. I apologize. But like I said, the Giants haven't officially named it yet, but I don't see why Logan Webb wouldn't get the start. Devers, Adames, Chapman, top hitters, Elliot Ramos, Very, very good. Has been hanging well recently. Drew Gilbert, a guy they got from the Mets in that Rogers deal, is hitting .571 with 2 dingers in his last 5 games. So don't take your eyes off that prospect. It's Hall of Fame weekend. Yachty's back. He's back in the dugout. That's going to be cool. Maybe the Cardinals can spoil things for the Giants. When Yachty was in town last time and was in the dugout, they took 2 of 3 from the Cubs, who were the better team at the time. So maybe they could spoil some things with a win tonight and then on Sunday, because I'm not betting that Palante is ever going to win a game again until he proves that he can, especially not against a future Hall of Famer like a Justin Verlander. So that's what I'm going with. 2 out of 3 for the Cardinals this week, and because I don't want to get yelled at by you guys. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. TikTok, Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube. You guys are the best fans of baseball for a reason, and we will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.